Well, hello there and welcome to the video. I just got done watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 2. Now, this episode, I will go into spoilers very early on, so this is your spoiler warning. This episode is actually better than the previous episode, the season opener, that was absolutely terrible in so many ways. This episode was, it was better structured. We'll put it that way. And it did deal with quite a few sort of big moral questions. The episode is a continuation from of Una's story from the end of season 1, where she's arrested for being an Illyrian and having lied on her application form to Starfleet, having served, I think, for 20 years, as she's been found out, and she's due to stand trial. We do see Captain Pike in this episode. Captain Pike is in the episode, and he is neutered from being the hero. He can't be the hero because he knew about Una's genetic engineering and the fact that she lied and the fact that she's an Illyrian. So he is excluded from coming in and saving the day, because we can't have that now, can we? This episode deals with the trial and the process, the legal process of trying to get Una out of it, out of trouble. Again, spoiler alert, they succeed. Una is off the hook and reinstated to Starfleet with no consequences at all. She's back on the Enterprise by the end of the episode. And how she gets there is a little sketchy. There's a loophole that they managed to get around. I'm sweating profusely. It's incredibly warm here again, so I apologise for that. She gets away with it through a loophole. The episode is rife with buzzwords. You know, it's rife with the message. I've come to expect it from Star Trek, and the old arguments, obviously, you know, oh, well, Star Trek's always been woke. It's always dealt with these issues. And yeah, I completely agree. Star Trek has always dealt with these issues. And I've said in my previous reviews, that's true. It's always dealt with these issues, but it's dealt with them from a philosophical standpoint. And it's always left you to work out in your own mind whether something's right or wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, this episode was closest to Star Trek than most NuTrek episodes, but there's still a lot of problems. Pike, as I said, has returned in this episode. He went off and left the Enterprise and went to a planet, I think it was the Illyrian homeworld or a colony, to get a lawyer, an Illyrian lawyer, who knows Una, because they grew up together or were friends, and she's got some big problem with Una. I struggled to figure out what the problem was with Una, because I don't know whether it's actually resolved in the episode. It suddenly occurs to me that Pike went off to this planet, brought back this this lawyer in the time in the previous episode that it took Spock to steal the Enterprise, rescue La'an. So how long was that process? How far away is her home world? Is that colony? How far away is that lawyer? It sort of makes no sense with the previous episode. It's really bizarre. She comes and saves the day. Now, there's a few things I want to go through. Okay, I'm not going to break the episode down. It turns out that the person that got Una caught and arrested was Una. Okay, she couldn't live the lie anymore, and she decided to come forward and tell the truth. It's mentioned in the episode, and this is how Pike is neutered from being the hero, that he knew, and he said nothing. He did nothing, so he cannot go on the stand. But Una's handed herself in and exposed herself to achieve some kind of goal of making Starfleet listen. And she didn't seem to care that it could potentially expose other people, including her good friend and her captain. The loophole that is used to get Una away scot-free is that she was persecuted as an Illyrian in Federation colonies, because Federation citizens persecute people. That's the Federation we all know and love. I'll get to the Federation in a moment. But she was persecuted. She sought asylum within Starfleet. And in the Starfleet rules, it states that, you know, people who are fleeing persecution and, you know, prejudice can basically join Starfleet, and that's how she gets away with it. There's a little bit more. It's a little bit more complex than that, but for the most part, that's how she gets away with it. Scot-free. She's back on the Enterprise and having served no time and no punishment for lying to get herself into Starfleet, which I found interesting. It's reminiscent of the Deep Space Nine episode, Dr. Bashir, I presume. That's all I could think about when I was watching this episode. And even, but okay, Bashir got away with it. He got back into Starfleet, or he managed to keep his commission. But his father went to prison. The guy who took him at a young age and got him genetically modified. And that's a tremendous episode. I love that episode. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, Una gets away with it scot-free. And you can see really this episode with the courtroom scene, there were elements of almost good writing. And then it's let down in so many different areas, it almost forgets it's Star Trek. It really does, to the point where there's a Vulcan, and there's a bold Vulcan, and he is a Vulcan, and it's even referenced earlier in the episode when Ortega's is taking the piss out of and doing a voiceover of a conversation between this Vulcan and Spock, and they really despise each other. And this Vulcan is so logical, he ends up smiling several times throughout the episode, really breaks the immersion of his character. And I mean, I just found that really funny. He's like, hang on a minute, you do know that you're Star Trek, you do know that's a Vulcan, don't you? I found that really, really stupid. I want to talk a little bit about the Federation. Star Trek has a main character. All of the Star Trek shows do. It's called the Federation and Starfleet. They complement each other very well. The Federation is an idealistic utopia. We all know that. We don't quite know how the economic system works in Star Trek. There's some great videos on YouTube speculating as to what kind of society the Federation is. Dave Cullen did a fantastic one where he broke that down. The Federation is, it's an idealistic utopia, but I always found it something inspiring and something for human beings to aspire to be. We've solved world hunger. We don't have wars. It's an equal society, and it's idealistic. What NuTrek tends to do is it tends to try and deconstruct that. And the writers hate the Federation. They really do. If you look at what they say in Discovery and what they say in Strange New Worlds, even what they say in Picard, they hate the Federation. These writers, these collections of writers, modern writers, they all turn to classic characters and start ripping them apart to see what kind of flaws that they can insert into that character. They did it with Picard. Picard wasn't as amazing as you think, and here, look, we're going to show you why in our retcon of his backstory, of who he is. Luke Skywalker, they did exactly the same. Indiana Jones deconstructed him. Star Wars wasn't that great. That's what they're trying to tell you. All these things that you thought were idealistic. No, they're not. Narcissists do that. They will take something you love and tell you why you shouldn't love it. And this show is doing that. There's so much hate for the Federation from their point of view. And I know I've said that Star Trek, makes you think it's a philosophical show, makes you think it's not black and white, there's grey areas and all of that. That's fantastic, that's fine. But this show hates the Federation and hates Starfleet. Now, it always says Starfleet can do better. It's basically Starfleet can do better. Starfleet hasn't finished growing. Well, Starfleet evolves and the Federation evolves over time, sure. But they have very strict laws on genetic engineering for a reason. For a reason. And you're not banished from the Federation, and you're not exiled from the Federation for being different. If you look at the Starfleet, it's the arm of the Federation. It's the strength of the Federation. It's a military. It's an exploratory service. It's a defensive service. It's a humanitarian service. Starfleet has rules against allowing genetically engineered humans or other species, members of other species, to serve in Starfleet as a Starfleet officer. Those are the rules. It's not banishment for the Federation. And in this episode, there's Federation colonies where people are bigoted against these kind of people, against Illyrians, and they are fearful of them and distrustful. And the Federation, it's right trying to paint the Federation as something other than it is. There's a tremendous amount in this episode that I'm not going to have time to pick apart. It deals with a lot. There's a lot in the episode, but I'm just getting really sick and tired of the Federation bashing that goes on in NuTrek. It's such a shame, because I always wanted to be a member of Starfleet when I was a kid. You know, you dream and you imagine about, you know, being on the ships and everything, and it's all great imagination work. I don't think I want to join Starfleet in NuTrek, because it just seems so juvenile and, you know, self-detrimental. I'm all for self-reflection. I myself, I'm self-reflecting all the time. I'm changing my points of view and my opinions all the time, because I'm looking at things from a different perspective. But the Federation was never meant to be torn apart. It was what it was. It was something to aspire to. It was a goal. You know, okay, yeah, it was idealistic, fine, and it was really naive. But it was a good thing. You know, I always took pride, and I thought maybe human beings could reach that point. And the fact that she turned herself in, you know, it's not only that, she's completely forgiven, unintentionally throwing Pike under the bus, taking other people with her, even belted La'an. Noonien Singh, you know, she recorded a personal log saying how pissed off she was that Una had lied to her about her genetic engineering. She thought someone had dug up her log and exposed her that way. She thought she was at fault, but it was actually Una all along. I just think, you absolutely selfish twat. You are affecting the lives of people around you. If you're gonna you know, there was a tremendous risk that she took for other people's careers and futures. I didn't agree with that. A lot of things didn't make a lot of sense in this episode. It was, like I said, it was better than the previous one. It was better than the previous one. It was tonally more serious than the last one. The last one was a complete farce. Pike was quite good in this, although he wasn't given an awful lot to do except grimace in the corner. Pike's lady friend, she's the one who's, you know, obviously arrested Una, and she has to carry out the trial. I'm going to end the video by saying this. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter about your past. As long as you don't hurt people, you're all right in my book. I love you all. I really do. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. What your views are, your opinions. They're your views and opinions. Just know that you're all right in my book as long as you don't hurt people. Up here and physically. I think this episode was okay. It had some real big problems, and I've not covered them all. Let me know if you want to see a live stream on this, and I might do a live stream. So that's my thoughts on the episode. Again, I don't think that they've gone anywhere new. I don't know whether these writers have an original thought in their body, in their mind, but it's certainly nothing new. It's been done before. I think it's been done better. The episode itself had its ups and its downs. It had things that really didn't make sense, a lick of sense, and I think it was just trying a little bit too hard to congratulate itself as well. So those are my thoughts. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Love to you all. Hope you're all okay. I hope you're all enjoying life, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, you look after yourselves. You look after one another. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.